The blessing of obedience. If you fully obey the Lord your God and carefully follow all his commands I give you today, the Lord your God will set you high above all the nations on earth. All these blessings will come on you and accompany you if you obey the Lord your God. Deuteronomy 28:1-2. Obedience has become an uncomfortable word in a world that celebrates autonomy. It sounds rigid, legalistic, even oppressive. You have seen obedience twisted into control, used to shame, wielded as a weapon. Perhaps you have experienced that kind of heavy-handed religion, the kind that burdens without lifting, that demands without empowering, that crushes rather than frees. And so the word obedience may feel more like a weight than a blessing. But the obedience God calls you to is different. It is not the obedience of a slave to a tyrant. It is the obedience of a child to a loving father. It is not about checking boxes to earn favor. It is about trusting that the one who loves you knows what is best for you. God's commands are not arbitrary rules designed to restrict your joy. They are guardrails on a mountain road, not to keep you from the view, but to keep you from plunging over the cliff. His commands are not burdens, they are blessings. They are the path to life, to peace, to freedom. Think of Adam and Eve in the garden. God gave one command: do not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That command was not a trap, it was a protection. The tree was not withholding something good. It was keeping them from something destructive. But they disobeyed. They believed the lie that God was holding out on them, that his command was a restriction rather than a safeguard. And the moment they disobeyed, they lost everything, not because God was angry, but because they had stepped outside the boundaries of his protecting love. The blessing of obedience is not about earning God's favor. It is about staying within the flow of his goodness. Think of Abraham, called to leave his country, his family, his father's household, and go to a land God would show him. He obeyed, not knowing where he was going. And because he obeyed, God blessed him beyond measure, making him the father of nations, giving him a son in his old age, counting his faith as righteousness. The blessing did not come because Abraham earned it. It came because he trusted God enough to follow. Obedience is the hand that opens to receive what God is already eager to give. Think of Jesus, the ultimate model of obedience. He said, "I always do what pleases the Father," John 8:29. He was obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. And because of his obedience, you are saved. His obedience opened the floodgates of blessing for the entire world. Obedience is not about earning, it is about aligning. When you obey, you are not making God love you more. You are positioning yourself to receive the love he is already pouring out. So what is the blessing of obedience? It is not always material wealth or physical health, as some have falsely taught. The blessing of obedience is deeper than that. It is the blessing of walking in step with the Creator of the universe. It is the peace that comes when you know you are where you are supposed to be, doing what you are supposed to do. It is the freedom of a life with nothing to hide, nothing to prove, and nothing to fear. It is the joy of seeing God work through your simple acts of faithfulness. It is the protection that comes from staying within the shepherd's fold. The blessing of obedience is also the blessing of becoming. Every act of obedience shapes you. It builds character. It strengthens faith. It deepens trust. It makes you more like Jesus. The person you are becoming through obedience is the blessing. When you choose to forgive instead of holding a grudge, you become more like the one who forgave you. When you choose honesty over a convenient lie, you reflect the God of truth. When you choose generosity over hoarding, you mirror the heart of the giver. The act of obedience itself is a blessing because it transforms you from the inside out. But what about when obedience is hard? When it costs you something? When it means saying no to something you want or saying yes to something you fear? That is where the deepest blessings are found. Obedience in the hard places demonstrates that you trust God more than you trust your own desires. It proves that his approval matters more than human applause. And in that crucible, God often does his most profound work. The blessing may not be immediate. It may not look like the blessing you expected, but it will come. God is not mocked. Whatever you sow, you will also reap. Galatians 6:7. Obedience sows seeds of blessing that will eventually produce a harvest. Do you want to experience the blessing of God, not as a formula, but as a way of life? Then obey. Not perfectly, you cannot. Not to earn his love, you already have it. But obey as a response to his love. Obey because you trust that his way is better. Obey because you have tasted his goodness and know that his commands are not burdensome. 1 John 5:3. Obey in the big things and the small things, in your finances, your relationships, your speech, your thoughts, your time. Obey not out of fear, but out of faith. The blessing of obedience is not a distant promise. It is a present reality. It comes on you and accompanies you. It is not a reward you wait for. It is a life you walk in. Today, choose obedience. Not grudgingly, but gladly. Not in your own strength, but in his. And watch as the blessings, some tangible, some hidden, all real, begin to follow you. Obedience is not the currency of God's favor. It is the pathway into it. Walk the path. The blessing is already there, waiting for you.